So good morning, everyone. This particular webinar, actually learning community, is sponsored by the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery, the Recovery Support Services division. And I'm so thankful that we have Joni to lead this or facilitate this learning community, because I think we have such rich conversations and such good information that comes up. So I appreciate you, Joni. I know I've said it before. I'm saying it again today.
Dawn, I needed to hear that. Thank you.
I do want to mention too, if you haven't seen, we've got our second annual learning symposium coming up in April, and we're looking for presentations. So if folks have an idea for a presentation they might want to provide, or even a referral to somebody who they think would be good at providing a presentation, do please let me know. And I can get the form to you to fill out. If your agency is doing something spectacular, we'd love to hear about it. And Joni, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. And just one more bit of housekeeping. I guess the administrative assistant received some responses about closed captioning. So I just wanted to make sure to let everyone know that our IT department suggested to let participants know that you can turn captions on or off by using the closed caption button in the menu bar. So I just wanted to share that information, and we will get started. So welcome everyone. As you can see, we are, we're a smallish group. We have about 45 people on the call, so not terribly small, but certainly small enough if when we go through the presentation and discussion, if you want to unmute your mic or raise your hand, Dawn and I will unmute your mics or use the chat. So we do want this to be a pretty engaging session today. We're going to get started. Dawn, I don't know if you wanted to, before we got into the content, talk about the learning community call kind of in general and what some of our ideas are for future calls, or if we wanted to get into the content and talk about that, maybe spend about 5 minutes at the end. Your choice.
Why don't we spend 5 minutes at the end? I do think
Perfect.
we've probably gotten the bulk of the folks that we're going to get, but
I
in
think
case
so
there's some
too.
late comers, if we do it at the end, they can be involved in that conversation.
Great. So today our topic is career advancement and supporting individuals that you're working with in moving beyond entry-level positions. So we're really looking at helping people to think about ways that they can move beyond maybe some of those initial jobs that they've gotten through your supported employment or employment services, how you can best assist them, and what different approaches are out there that we're going to talk about today to assist individuals in moving beyond those positions, talk about different strategies to build social capital. So, we're going to talk about how our social capital helps us with our networking and moving within and advancing within our own organizations or outside of our organizations. And then we'll talk about specific strategies like how to help someone request a promotion, how to help someone request a salary increase, how to help individuals that you're working with recognize when it might be time to move on or consider other opportunities outside of their current place of employment. So just to kind of think about what we all consider to be career advancement, what does career advancement mean to you? When you think about career advancement, you can use the chat here or unmute your mic. What does career advancement mean to you? And the reason why we ask this question early on is you really want to get from the person you're working with, what does career advancement mean to them, so that you can best assist them in achieving that. So we have promotion, we have making more money, a salary increase, being recognized for a job well done, growing in title or responsibility, having more responsibilities, higher pay, new challenges, new cultures and new networking, more money, being challenged, more responsibilities coming up, utilizing skills I went to school for, uh, making a difference in the company. For me, someone wrote, for me, it's not about the money. It's about growing and learning different responsibilities, moving forward, or moving toward my ultimate goal by taking on new challenges, growing with your potential, influence on strategic direction of the company. Yes, having an influence on the company, feeling more appreciated. Absolutely. Why might someone want to advance in their career? So why might a person that you're working with in supported employment or in employment services want to advance in their career? What are some reasons why people want to advance? Because some people sort of alluded to that a little bit, wanting to make a difference in the company and wanting to utilize skills, feeling valued, personal development. I'm seeing here in the chat, boredom, stagnation, cost of living increase. Yes, so just being able to pay bills might necessitate career advancement. Their current job is becoming stale, wanting to develop, to thrive as one can. Absolutely, growth, gain skills. Yes, people might be unchallenged, right? The person might need to have a better work-life balance. Maybe, advancing in the career might offer more stability, more opportunities. Actually getting out of the secondary job market is another reason. And the secondary job market, I'll advance the slide here. This kind of depicts really the benefits of returning to school, advancing in your education. If you can see, this slide really depicts the difference in earnings and rates of employment between the primary and secondary job market. Primary job market are those positions that are more career focused, that are maybe salaried, offer benefits, utilizing those skills and talents that you mentioned in the chat just a bit ago. The secondary job market might be more hourly work, working times of the day that maybe aren't your preference, but that's what the job requires. Maybe very few or little opportunities to have benefits or obtain, all those other benefits that the primary job market involves. And we want to make sure, we want to really assist people that we're working with in accessing all of those benefits that the primary job market can provide, and supporting individuals in considering education as an option, training, additional training, or career advancement within their own organizations and jobs that they're currently in. What do you think would be the benefits of someone that you might be working with, someone who is participating in employment services within your agency, who may have the experience of symptoms related to a mental health condition, or may not have worked for a while, or may have other potential barriers? Why might the primary job market be an ideal setting for that person? What would be kind of the difference for them in primary versus secondary job market? What would be some of those advantages or supportive experiences? Someone mentioned having a future, confidence. So yes, so hope, absolutely. So having that idea of hope for a future career, Potentially more access to accommodations and more disability informed work culture. Absolutely. So maybe the more opportunities to access accommodations, or maybe those accommodations are already in place, right? Maybe there's already benefits that include sick leave, benefits that include uh, medical insurance that would cover mental health conditions. Um, Feeling more connected to the community, security, absolutely. So someone's asking the difference between the primary and secondary. Primary job market kind of includes all of those features that I was referring to. A job that might be more salaried, a job with a more consistent um, uh, hours, a job that has benefits, including vacation benefits, health insurance, and so on. The secondary job market are mostly hourly wage positions, positions that might not have a more consistent schedule, um, positions that may not require the education or the skills that maybe some of the jobs in the primary job market might need. Secondary job market may not have the potential or option to receive health insurance or other benefits. Someone wrote in the chat, I think of secondary as like a fast food jobs. Yes, something along those lines, something maybe more in retail, um, something, more entry level or maybe not entry level, but certainly not, not affording those opportunities for advancement or having those benefits. Someone wrote in the chat, I named that survival job. Yes. And sometimes that's what someone wants, right? Someone that you're working with might say, like, I just need to get a job right now. I kind of have an idea of what I'm interested in. I want to get my, feet in the door. I want to try something out. And then we can assist that person looking at that and looking at how to help them move beyond that. But I do like to kind of frame it as really wanting to support people to move into that primary job market if possible. So there are many ways to move toward an ideal career. I'm going to talk about these 5 specific ones here: career development, and career advancement. It's kind of, used interchangeably. Like many of you mentioned, having more money are some of the reasons why people may want to advance in their career. Having more prestige or having more opportunities for advancing within their career ladder, for more responsibilities and so on. So when we think about career advancement, these are just a way to kind of help us frame this. Lateral, you can help someone change, maybe get a new job that had the same status or pay. So someone may be able to kind of laterally move within their own company or the business that they're working in, without necessarily an increase in pay or a change in responsibility or status. However, if moving to a different type of position, even if it's a lateral move, could potentially help them move up a different career ladder. Maybe there are more opportunities within that type of job. Enrichment, growing in place, focus on making the current job more challenging, helping the person that you're working with identify ways that they can approach their supervisors to maybe learn more skills or increase knowledge around a certain aspect of that particular job. So think about your own jobs. Like, are there opportunities, and what are those opportunities to sort of grow in place, to identify more training opportunities or more opportunities within your job to improve your kind of growth or opportunities within that I know for my particular job, we have a lot of different committees, and you can choose to be a member of a committee. And then there are opportunities at times where you can choose to be maybe a leader of a committee, or, the chair of a committee. And those are kind of that grow in place where I'm not necessarily taking on new employment responsibilities per se, but I'm finding opportunities within my job here that will give me some potential to learn new skills, leadership skills, or chairing a committee type skills. Advancement is kind of that more traditional way of climbing the career ladder. Someone might start out maybe in retail as a retail worker, working behind the counter at a Macy's or somewhere like that, as a cashier, and they may obtain some skills within that organization to then become maybe a buyer. Maybe they, take classes or learn some additional skills and gain some additional knowledge and can advance within that, or within Macy's, from maybe a cashier up to something like a buyer. Realignment might be maybe taking a step down. So this is a little bit of a trickier one, but sometimes a person may have more opportunities to grow if they took a step down, but that allowed them more rungs on the career ladder, if you will. Or it may boost like a new career goal. So, for example, if someone, the same person at Macy's, so maybe they were hired as a backroom kind of clerical worker, but their dream job, or what they really want to do, is be the buyer. They want to be a buyer for Macy's. Maybe that clerical position in the back room paid more than the clerk or the cashier, but there would be no opportunity to move beyond that into a buyer role. So that person might be strategic and see if they could move into a cashier position, or behind the counter position, so that that would give them more opportunities to move up to have the job that they really want, a buyer. So I think the bottom line is really talking with someone that you're working with and identifying what does career advancement mean to them, and helping them to really look at all of those other opportunities that might be within their own place of work. And if not, then maybe moving out of that job might be the next step, that relocation somewhere else. Someone wrote in the chat, I hadn't thought about outside committees, being a state worker. Good idea, though. There's some I've heard of. So if you think about these five, what are some examples of people that you might be working with, of how they've either grown in place at a job and that allowed them the opportunity to advance in that particular position, or maybe they had this realignment, taking a step down into another part of the company so that they could align themselves a little bit more with what they truly want to do? Are there any examples that you might have that you could share? I'll just wait a minute or so here in the chat just to hear what maybe your experiences have been, either your own personal experience or even with people that you're working with. Again, you can use the chat or unmute.
Well, while folks are thinking, I actually have one that's my daughter's experience. She went from a job paying more to paying less, but the scenario is she moved to a dental office front desk because she's going to be going into a dental assisting program and
Yes,
wants to have that on her resume and the exposure. There, I see Lily has something.
absolutely. Yes, Lily. I have a client who was scared of working, period. They started housekeeping and now they are customer service and is working with the public every day and excited about it. That's wonderful. That's a fantastic success story. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, something else in here. Joining a company and then finding out a skill that I have that I was not aware of and switched programs in the same company. Yes, so having those discussions and having those um, sort of really getting from the person their own meaning of career advancement and what that means. Um, so how can providers facilitate career advancement for individuals participating in services? Again, find out from the person what their meaning of career advancement is. Could use kind of reflect back to the readiness assessment and development. So presumably when you're meeting with someone, you get a sense of what are some of the areas that the person may not be ready. And when I say ready, I don't mean that they can, have the skills or the ability. When we talk about readiness, assessment, and development, we're really talking about the person's belief that they can get a job, that it would be possible, and that it would be positive to them. And a lot of times people may not have that belief that work would be possible or positive because of maybe past experiences. So we want to kind of help them really look at what some of those past experiences are and develop those areas. So if someone is concerned about losing benefits, someone might say, well, if I go back to work and if I go back to school and get a career that's paying a lot more, I'm concerned about losing my Social Security benefits. And that might be holding the person back from believing that work would be a positive for them. So maybe bringing in the benefits planning specialist, having discussions around the impact of employment on benefits, having discussions around work incentives and how they might help out the person. Just looking at some of the chats here. Most new training being made available to me, excited, even if it's growing in place, absolutely. Most advances are unpaid. When the employee begins to see where needs are not being met, this can draw support or criticism. Rarely on the mid-range, boots on the ground provides much of a raise or compensation for the effort. So how to navigate the economy budgeting issues that business claims. So maybe we'll pop back to that question in just a bit. But using motivational interviewing skills, helping someone to resolve ambivalence and help the person think about the pros and cons of career advancement. So maybe kind of going back to that statement in the chat, helping the person maybe do a cost benefit analysis. What are the costs of advancing? What are the benefits? And helping them really examine the two of those. And think through what those advantages and disadvantages might be. And then help the person identify whether or not they can stay in their current job and advance and obtain the career that they want, or is it time to move on and find another position elsewhere. So when you get the slides, this will probably look a little bit clearer, but as you look at this checklist, this is helpful if you're working with someone and they're unsure whether or not to stay at their current job or begin searching elsewhere. And it might depend on various factors. One, does the person's current job offer opportunities to achieve their career goals? Second, does the current job offer opportunities to further their education in order to advance in their career? And third, does their current job contain their work values, preferences, and work interests? And the person can consider, after asking themselves these questions, it may be clear to them whether they should start thinking about moving on, or perhaps there are opportunities within their current employer. So you can think about looking through this sort of decision-making checklist. And as we go through it, you can even think about your own employment setting. So how can I find out about career opportunities within my own current setting, with my own current employer? So some suggestions might be talking to someone, looking on bulletin boards, job postings in the paper, a little antiquated, but who knows, but certainly online and the website. And you're kind of helping the person walk through what are all of the steps that they need to make to see what's possible within their own settings. Who should I talk to? Is it their supervisor? Is it the HR manager? Is it the director? Is it a coworker perhaps? What's the time frame? So, similar to SMART goal planning, you want to help the person sort of have a time frame in mind, right? So if they are interested in exploring career advancement opportunities within their own company that they're currently working, help them figure out, okay, by what date are they going to get this information? And then what jobs are available that match the person's career interests. And, kind of go through, the job listings that the company has. Is training available? How would they find out if training is available? Maybe they, need to identify a plan to reach out to a supervisor, or again, maybe an HR representative or whoever that might be. Is it reimbursed? Are there other ways that tuition or training costs could be reimbursed? And then what are some of the next steps? So what do I need to do now? So this kind of helps keep the conversation kind of focused and very clearly set some guidelines and some objectives and timeframes. And you can really help the person. So think about your own current employer and how would you find out? So maybe someone can respond, how can you find out about current career opportunities with your current employer? Postings on the company website. Thank you, Kay. So you might find postings on the company website. Are there other ways? Some companies send out emails to everyone. They email staff about opportunities, speaking with your manager or HR. Yes, so HR, supervisor, maybe look out for emails. We have emails sent with every new position, meetings where they inform of upcoming positions, bringing it to your supervisor. Yes, so think about informational interviews with other staff. I love that. So similarly, when you're working with someone who's in a maybe an entry-level position and you're assisting them in moving on, these are the types of questions that you want to ask them. Who specifically or how specifically will you find career opportunities with your current employer? Who specifically will you need to talk to? And what's the time frame? And then you can go on again, ask some of those next questions. So we also wanted to talk about career advancement skills and helping people develop career advancement skills. And some of those skills are listed here: helping someone request a salary increase, helping someone ask for a promotion or a change of job within the company, building that social capital like we talked about a little bit earlier on, and exploring other options outside of the current company. So we're going to talk about each of these areas in a little bit more detail. So have has anyone had experience helping someone ask for a promotion or a job change? it's sometimes not as intuitive as you think, right? It's a little bit scary. It's a little bit you're unsure what the person is going to, how they're going to respond. You don't know if you meet the criteria. You don't even know what the criteria are for a promotion or job change. So first and foremost, you want to help the person identify what criteria is used for promotions. So think about your own positions. Um, name it and name at least 3 criteria if you can, a couple, criteria that are used for promotions within your organizations. So what are 3 things or criteria used for promotions within your organization? What do they look for? What does leadership, what does the administration, what do your supervisors look for? A good annual review. Um, yes, experience, education, time with the company, um, skills, longevity, skills development. So some of the criteria is, specific skill related. Some might be educational requirements. Lisa mentions exceeding expectations on the current review, meeting or exceeding expectations. So how did you get this information? How do you know that that's the criteria used for a promotion? Who did you need to talk to? And you've already identified what the specific criteria is. Job postings, speaking to long-term employers, job postings, so supervisor, HR. So we want to help individuals. Oh, we have some more coming in. Speaking to a supervisor or director, supervisors, learning more about the organization on a deeper level, department or program manager. So you know who you have to speak to within your own organization to understand what the criteria for promotion is. When we're working with individuals, we want to help them identify who in their company they would need to talk to get this information, because we want a person to be able to list what the criteria for promotion is, and if they're asking for a promotion or a change of job, we want to be able to help them present that information. We want them to be able to identify how they have met those criteria or exceeded those criteria. So we want to help the person really look at what's involved with a promotion. We also want the person to look at their past achievements and maybe have a list that you can write with the person, have them kind of brainstorm everything that they've achieved in the job. Like, even if it's something that they don't think is particularly that important, it may very well be important, or it may be part of another grouping of achievements that they can kind of put together. I'm looking at more of the chat, speaking with employers that you work with closely and asking them about what they will need to do. Yeah, so if you have employers that you have built relationships with, maybe talk to them about what's typically required for a promotion. Longevity, I've seen older, longstanding employees usually get first consideration, so that might be something. But again, you want to help the person think about what's the criteria used, what are some of their past achievements that might meet the criteria, and help them list that. Because this is just like a very brief little role play statement, but if someone isn't comfortable or hasn't ever had to request a promotion or talk about the idea of being promoted, this could be a nice little cheat sheet, if you will, that you could role play with the person. So again, it's I'm interested in being promoted or changing jobs to blank position. So the person would have to have an understanding of what position is available. I've been successful at whatever those tasks are that they've been doing, and for however many months or years they've been doing it. Help them to look at how they've demonstrated their ability to be innovative, as shown by maybe have them, think about ways that they've, really demonstrated their ability, whether it's innovative or responsible. That this is just, again, a draft. I feel my knowledge and skills have been an asset to the company because, again, maybe going back to the person's um, evaluation or other areas that they can really factually say, what they've done and how they've been an asset. Maybe they can highlight some of those skills that they've used, and then what their evaluations have consistently stated. So again, this is just a template, just something that you could use as a guide when you're role playing with someone. But sometimes asking for promotion or asking for a job change can be a little intimidating. And if you're not equipped with, well, what criteria do I even need to meet? What are my achievements that might meet that criteria? And this is just a way to kind of help the person consider how to request that promotion within their company. And then requesting a salary increase. Again, help the person list what their achievements might be. This could be a little trickier, right? Requesting a salary increase, but it's certainly, if the person feels comfortable, feels like they have done a good job and that they should be compensated more, and they've been there for X amount of time to be eligible for a salary increase, and they've had good evaluations and have had, successful achievements, you can assist the person in making that request. This is one way to research different salaries that are kind of, you know, typical for a certain career, salary.com, but there may be others like glass ceiling, but help the person identify and list their achievements, maybe research what the salary should be or what their desired salary might be, maybe looking to see what people in comparable positions might be receiving and so on. Coach the person on ways to deal with potential disappointment. So if the person, if the supervisor says, I'm sorry, that's just not something we can do. We don't have the money. Help the person anticipate that potential disappointment and how to respond to that. And then finally, if a salary increase isn't possible, that if the money's just not there, maybe there are other ways the person can feel compensated. Maybe getting more time off or opportunity for training or tuition reimbursement. So this is just a suggestion if someone is fairly happy with their position, but feel like they might need, that they should be getting more compensation. This is just, again, kind of goes along with that promotion. So when we talk about building social capital is really measures the degree of influence that we have through our networks. Networking is the means through which we gain social capital. So social capital really is kind of developing social networks, really kind of developing these networks that could potentially be useful in your networking. It could be, developing these networks within your organization, or it could be outside of your organization. So the value of social capital is really that it could provide information about, job opportunities, advancement opportunities, could provide the person with opportunities for mentorship, for increased visibility and so on. So and it's really valuable when we think about promotions or career advancement. Um, so when you think about ways that you have developed your own social capital, what are ways that you've developed your kind of social capital within your organization? Some common ways are through mentors. We have a mentoring initiative within our university where we have mentors and we have proteges and they work closely together. That allows the mentor to maybe share the protege's name when an opportunity comes up, and that mentor can say, oh yeah, I've worked with so and so, and I mentor them. They might be perfect for this position, or they might be perfect for this in enhanced responsibility. Maybe there are formal activities within the workplace. Formal activities might be kind of task forces or other formal activities, and then also just spending time with coworkers. So if you think about your own jobs, what are some formal activities that are within your workplace that could help build this social capital, that could build your networking opportunities within the workplace? Are there formal activities within your workplaces, and what are they? Or how can you, going to the third one, how can you spend time with coworkers? What are some valuable ways to build social capital and spend that time? Yes, Allison, we have all staff bowling once a year. Yes, those are the types of things that are maybe whether it's formal or informal, but it's spending time with coworkers. And how do you think attending those types of events increases your visibility, if somebody thinks of, and then someone said, plus a summer staff picnic and winter social. Yes. So you're building your social capital within your workplace anytime you attend those types of events. And when we're working with individuals, we want to encourage people to build that capital, network, spend time with coworkers. Outside of the organization, maybe professional associations or outside mentors, or developing social skills could be, a helpful skill. So if someone isn't comfortable or familiar or hasn't wanted to socialize outside of their organization, but they're interested in some career advancement, maybe encouraging them to identify professional associations that might be a good fit. Thank you, Bonnie, mentioned potlucks for holidays or when people move on, peer support network. Yes. Having lunch with others on a quick walk or during a break. Yes. Are there professional associations in your careers that you access or have accessed in the past, or are a part of, that help with your networking and social capital development? I know in New Jersey, we have the New Jersey Psychiatric Rehabilitation Association, NJPRA, and throughout the years I've been involved with them. And again, you're networking with people, not necessarily within your organization, but people who may have opportunities that could be useful in your career advancement. Oh yeah, I just saw Joni at such and such meeting, and she was just talking about this particular skill that she has, or whatever it might be. Let me give her a call. So encouraging people to access outside of the organization as well as within. Allison, collaborate with different organizations, go to city council meetings and other community events, join group volunteer efforts. Yes, so there might be, something maybe yearly that the organization or the company that the person's working for, we're working for, gets together and has some sort of volunteer event. Annual PIT count and annual, yes. And I saw Peer Support Network is a wonderful suggestion. So again, these might not immediately come to mind of the person when they're thinking about career advancement. But as providers, we can begin to make these suggestions and encourage people to look outside of just maybe the support you provide, maybe look at these more natural supports. So just we can quickly do this. Identify one strategy that you used in your current or past job to build social capital. It looks like many of you said some things here in the chat already, attending the PIT count, collaborating with different organizations, going to city council meetings and other community events. So people have already named quite a few. So, if you want to think about one, we'll spend a minute or so, and then also think, how did it help in advancing your career, or how do you anticipate it helping advance your career? Someone said board participation. Yes, Christy, participating in boards. How might that assist in advancing your career? Collaborating with coworkers and helping case staff certain situations. Yes. Builds connections. Absolutely. So these are the types of questions that you want to ask when you're working with someone. What are some things that you could do to build this social capital, to network more, to be more involved with your coworkers or others in the organization. Board positions allow for networking and leadership experience. Yes. Yep. Pop that right on a resume. I mean, those leadership skills and so on. Asking for referral reference form authority and find suggestions for rehabilitation to studies and values. Thank you. Yes. So there may just be those times when the person decides it's time to move on. And you might need to revisit values, looking again at what the person's values are. What are their work values? What did they learn from that position that could inform current job seeking and current career advancement opportunities? Different interest inventories. I have a couple of slides with links to some resources for helping with identifying values, helping to identify interests. And then ONET is the Occupational Information Network, and the Occupational Outlook Handbook are some occupational information resources that you can use with someone to help in that career development. But here are some tools that could be useful. Again, we won't have time in just our brief webinar today or learning community today, but the values card sort helps someone kind of look at their work values and sort that through. ONET also offers something similar. Again, these are very user-friendly. You can hop right into these links when you get the presentation emailed to you. ONET, again, kind of provides a link to what ONET is. ONET is the Occupational Information Network, and there are ways through ONET like this interest inventory profiler where you click into this and it helps the person look at what are their interests. And at the very end of the assessments, it's pretty brief. They're asked to rank, certain interests by, I really enjoy doing this or not enjoy this at all. And then at the end, it comes up with some possible career opportunities. So it's a good way for someone who is interested in career advancement and also someone that you're working with who may not have much of an awareness right now of what their job goal is. And then some skill development. I listed 2 resources here that are helpful in skills identification. So helping the person really look at all of their past jobs or schools, their current position, what they've done in any volunteer capacity, and identify those skills obtained if someone is kind of moving beyond their current employer and looking out. So we have a little bit of time, and it's always nice to look at how we're going to use this information. So think about someone that you are working with, someone receiving services, participating in services within your organization who is interested in advancing in their career. What barriers are preventing the person from advancing or moving forward? What are 3 strategies that we talked about today that could assist the person? And how would you apply these strategies? And what additional supports might you need to help the person advance in their career? So let's spend a couple of minutes. You can use the chat or unmute your mics. So again, you don't have no names, no identifying information, even just in your mind, if you can think of who that, you don't have to write who that person is in the chat. But if you want to think about, and if you want to use the chat, that would be great. If we had a volunteer or 2, what barriers are preventing the person from advancing or moving forward in their career? So if anyone has someone that we can talk about, again, no identifying information or anything about what the position is specifically, and what strategies you might be able to use that we talked about, and how you would apply those. So yes, Alice and I agree. Sometimes it can just be a waiting game for advanced positions opening. So sometimes just waiting and being ready though, right? When the person, when that opening becomes available, the person kind of being ready, maybe with an updated resume or with that sort of little speech, the promotion template of how they can really highlight their skills and achievements and what they've done, so that when that opening becomes available, they're right there able to work on that. Not enough seniority or time with the employer yet. Maybe social skills might not be as strong as they could be. So maybe some social skills training might be helpful. Let's see, tracking achievements as they occur so that they recognize their own development and success. I love that, Lisa. So helping the person track what those achievements are as they happen, like whether that's a notes app in their phone or a piece of paper, whatever that might be. But yes, as they're occurring, those achievements, that can certainly build confidence, like Robin suggested. And I love that idea. So what specific supports might you need to help the person advance in their career? And you can use the chat, of course. That could also be something for future topics for these calls or future webinars. Increased knowledge of resources, yes. So maybe more knowledge of what resources are available, absolutely. So before we end, and before Dawn kind of gives a little overview of what our thoughts are for upcoming calls, any questions or comments? That's Lisa writes in the chat, a better understanding of the organization they are working for and helping them to connect with decision makers. Yes, and it may be through those formal or informal channels that we talked about, right? It might be through mentoring, or it might be through, the yearly bowling outing. So thank you, everyone. And Dawn, I don't know if you want to take it over, and then as
Sure.
you're talking, I'm also going to put up the survey link and QR code, if you could kindly fill that out at some point, and I'll also put it here in the chat.
Thank you, Joni. As always, there were multiple comments about how helpful this was, and I agree. So thank you, first of all, for what you've done. I wanted to share, and Joni and I and Darren talk a lot about training needs. And the best way for us to know what those are is for you to provide us with that information. There are various arenas where you can do that. And I think the survey, Joni, doesn't it have a question in regards to
Yes,
training
it does.
requests? Yeah. Over and above that, we have what's called the Supported Employment Coordinating Committee on a once-a-month basis. For those of us who are truly trying to further the kind of the cause of supported employment, we get together and discuss various things in regards to how we might do that. And in a couple of weeks, whatever the third Wednesday is, and I apologize, I'm not looking at my calendar. We have a meeting where we're going to break out into groups, and one of the groups is going to discuss training needs. So if that's something that you're interested in attending, let me know and I'll add you to the distribution list. Joni and Darren and I and others have developed kind of a long list of topics just from our conversations. It would be helpful if, we can get some prioritization on that. Perhaps, Joni, we can bring it to the SECC. And, kind of after we've come up with the list in that one breakout room to say, help us prioritize, sort of use that list in order to do it. But it would benefit us if you will also just let us know what's the next training that would be beneficial for you. What are the burning topics? What are the issues? I saw somebody mention the kind of budgetary freezes that are going on in the state of Washington, and I'm sure other states at this point in time. And they may create kind of emergent training needs. So be thinking about kind of that as one of the things that could relate back to some training. What am I missing, Joni? Is that sort
I
of what?
think that's it. No, I think that sounds great. Thank you, Dawn.
You
And thank
bet.
you, everyone. I think we are at the hour, so see
Well done.
everyone
Thank
next
you.
month.
Thanks for being here, everyone. Take care.